Oh, this is so fun. So
Mhm.
I thought it'd be kind of fun before we actually begin to wait for a couple of minutes to see if people come in the chat to Facebook and make sure
Okay.
everything looks good and that it's coming up. And hello if you're watching on the replay, because I know that folks are still tuning in here. Kate, and you are tuning into a Thursday evening live stream. And I have the pleasure of introducing a sweet friend of mine, Deanna Sarkar. How are you, my dear?
I'm fantastic. What a
So
fantastic
glad you're
day.
here. It is a fantastic day. And for those of you, if you're in later and you're not able to see this live, know that we will be producing this podcast connection together tonight as an actual show that will be updated and it will be on my platform. You'll be able to find the places you find your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, as well as on my YouTube channel. So there are going to be two ways to watch this. And as we're recording today, we're going to be because I just have to plug riverside.fm. This is what we're using today to record. And the way that it works is that as we record live, higher fidelity content is being uploaded to the cloud, which is really cool. And so it's of a higher quality live, but then when we actually record and produce the podcast later, it'll be better quality. With that out of the way, I see Mr. Derek Hoyam.
Oh, Derek, I listened to your podcast with Kelsey twice. So exciting.
What did you like most about Derek's podcast, or share a little bit because he's here? This is
Yeah, the entire journey, the idea of I want this to exist and I don't know how to do it, but I'm doing it anyway. And that is such a an encouraging element of your history, and then to even hear, okay, yes, it takes many years. There were so many portions of it, and the idea of having more than one career, just own it, just say, okay, I'm a musician, I'm going to have 10,000 other things on the back burner, or not even on the back burner, on all the burners all the time, and burn my house down, because then you you will have so many things to choose from, and you can roll with whatever is going to work, whatever's, yeah. I'm full of metaphors, but yeah, throwing all the spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks. So thank you for that. There was a lot in that podcast, which is why I listened to it twice. So I have to listen to your podcast, because if you just like drop golden nuggets like all the time, that's what I want to do.
that's right. Well, and because he's been helpful as well in my journey, and so it was pretty special to be able to bring him on. And Derek would love to have you back. And he actually has awesome podcast that he started, and I believe it's called. Is it Derek? Is it Create Your Own Fun Island? And but let us know in the chat what it is. I think it's something create your, and it's awesome. Danny, you got to listen to it.
I will.
So,
Yes. It's I've had a lot of things happen in the last 3 days. So it's awesome. Yes, I will be listening to it for sure.
hmm. Oh, right. Thanks, Derek. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. Yes.
Well, I see that we have several folks already, and we are streaming to Twitch, to Facebook, and YouTube. And friends, if you're on my personal or on the piano page, if you're interested, YouTube or Twitch actually allows you to see all time, which is pretty darn cool. So if you want to be able to see those, hop on YouTube. It is on, if you just go to createlikeyou.co, you can tap the link to the YouTube channel. So if you want to see what other people are saying and not just in your own thread, that's how you can do that. So, my dear, let's go ahead and begin. This is the
Yes.
first time that I've actually recorded a live podcast. I'm grateful that you're here with me.
Yeah. Me too.
So great.
Wonderful.
Well, so what I want to do first is introduce Deanna to all of my friends here who are listening live, and then also later as well. So what we're going to start now is I'm going to actually do an official greeting, and so this was kind of the preamble for our live stream here. And
Sure.
also, friends, if you have questions for Deanna, please put them in the chat, and then we're going to have a Q&A following our conversation as well. So I'm going to take one more sip of tea. Y'all are seeing behind the scenes here.
I have tea
And we
too.
will go ahead and begin. What are you sipping tonight?
This is a chai rooibos
Ooh,
decaffeinated tea with honey.
very nice. This is a chamomile. Straight up. Straight up.
Nice.
I don't know why I'm going southern when I say straight up. I don't know. Okay. Well, cut or beep.
Marker.
Marker. There you go. See, that's the professional. I've actually been on a professional movie set before.
Oh.
Have to query you about that. And welcome to the Create Like You podcast. My name, and I have the privilege of introducing a dear friend that I have just met within this last week.
Yes.
Sarkar, how are you, my dear?
Wonderful. It is such a thrill to be here with you, Kelsey.
Oh, likewise. In a rather fun and modern way. How did you find?
Well, I had played violin with Andy Merkovich at Bellevue Square and had such a wonderful time that I was just thinking, I wonder if there is a roster of pianists who play at Bellevue Square. And so I just did a search, and your name and site comes right up. And so I started following you on all your channels. And then because I was like signed up for notifications last Friday, 5 days ago, 6 days ago, your notification came on that you were live at Bellevue, live till 5. And so I joined the chat and I looked at your repertoire on your website and said, oh, I dress as Rapunzel. Would you please play I See the Light? And so then you did. And I think that caught your eye. I'm just like, who is this? And so we chatted from there. And then, yes, met in person on Wednesday, and here I am. So it's all been just kind of wonderful. We found out that we don't live very far away from each other, which is such a gift in the Puget Sound to
Crazy.
meet a fellow musician and then not hear, oh, they live, 40 miles away, which shouldn't take 3 hours, but does. So, so that is how we met. It's just been very providential.
That's right. And I'm going to hit pause for a quick sec here because thank you very much. Father is here with us.
Hello.
My mic is a little bit low, so thank you for letting me know that. And I'm going to go ahead and adjust that real quick. Comers are coming in. This is so great. We have a multicast going here, so if you are there on the interwebs, please let us know that you're watching. Would love to see who all is here. Okay, so let me know. Deanna, is that louder? Is that significantly
It's the
louder?
same for me.
It's
So
the same for you? Okay. Okay. Well, I can try that. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate you. So friends, I want to share a bio that will give a little more color to who Deanna is right as we begin. Deanna began singing solos at age 2 and went on to receive a master's degree in vocal performance at the Universities of Sioux Falls in South Dakota. Since then, she has solo, chamber, and choir concert settings, performed leading roles in several musicals such as Cinderella from Into the Woods, Maria in Sound of Music, Brown in Guys and Dolls, Irene Malloy in Hello Dolly, and Marion the Librarian in Music Man. She's toured with 2 original plays in Dallas and the West End in New York City. She's soloed a soprano concert with the Mesquite Symphony Orchestra. She's sung several seasons as a Dickens character, even in holographic form. You better believe we're coming back to that. She's performed in children's theater shows with Storybook Brook Theater. Brooke, I said that's funny. Let me try that again. She's performed in over a dozen children's theater shows with Storybook Theater, been on camera in lead roles in feature films, short films, commercials, line videos, and she's narrated children's and adult fiction audiobooks at the Washington Talking Book in the Braille Library. She's played violin, including a folk band, a solo artist, and a rock opera. She's played She's played Washington Renaissance Fair and the Texas Renaissance Festival. Let me read that one more time. She's played Celtic fiddle at the Washington Renaissance Fair and the Texas Renaissance. And finally, she's dressed as Elsa and Rapunzel for children's parties, special events, and conventions. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So there's
Sorry, it's so long.
Are you
There's just
kidding
no
me?
one way to answer. What do you do? It's just not one sentence.
Because you were a color palette. You were not just one shade. I love it. I got to ask, when I'm reading all these, are you seeing in your mind little experiences or memories, or I'm reading through these?
Well, yeah, just I think gratitude for, oh, well, that was, these are all wonderful, wonderful things to have been a part of. And, if I did have a one sentence answer, if I said, well, Deanna has played violin with the blah 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 orchestra for this many years, and that's a fantastic career, then I would have missed out on all these other things. So it does, I think my kind of embarrassment sometimes with, oh, well, I don't have a career because I just do 40 million things that, I haven't been focused enough to succeed at anything. And yet to have them all listed exactly that, of just like, well, you know what? Each of these doors was a gift, and I need to just understand that and accept that and say, oh, thank you, Lord, like that this was all somehow fit into my life. So yeah, it
That's a
just,
whole
yeah,
lot.
mostly gratitude, mostly gratitude.
Wonderful. And so many skills as well that you've learned. My goodness. Well, for fun to start, what would you say as you were first beginning singing? Oh my goodness. How did that start where you had the opportunity to sing a solo? Who gave you that chance?
Right. My parents met on a singing group. My mother is from Iowa, grew up on a farm. My father is from Manitoba, Canada, grew up on a farm as well. And through the North American Baptist Seminary, they would take kind of university age kids that, from the churches and audition them. So some of them they were all singers, but they also all played an instrument. And they would tour around kind of to, I guess, advertise the seminary. So to draw the churches together, but also just say, hey, there's a seminary you could go to, and here are some amazing people in our denomination. And so that's what they did for 9 months. When I did touring groups, it was not for 9 months, but that was how long their tour was. And they didn't they weren't a couple during the tour. It was only toward the very, very end that my dad let my mom know that he really liked her. And she was like, oh, okay. So they didn't quite get together right then, but it wasn't that long after that. And then, yes, they got married. So as a married couple, they continued to perform all the time. My mother played piano and played the clarinet. My dad played trumpet. They would sing together. They would sing at weddings. They would sing at other churches. They really did the circuit because that was what they knew. They met doing that, and everyone they knew that they were performers, and so they very much did that. So then when I came along, there I was at every rehearsal or every church or every choir practice or everything that my mother was playing for other people, the ladies trio, the men's quartet, whatever it was. And it was just so completely natural for me to sing along the moment I could. And I was in tune. And so they kind of made a trio around me, like, well, okay, you get melody. And so then they would sing either, maybe not at two, but alto and tenor along with me. And so, yes, I think it was a wedding reception, and I was 2, and they had said she might sing, and they weren't quite sure if I would be up for it, but they put a chair up to a microphone, kind of by the piano, and do you want to sing? Yep. So I stood on that chair, and there's a picture of my dad just kind of near me and my mom at the piano, and I don't know if they had told me beforehand, well, what should we sing? Or if I told them at that moment, let's sing this, but anyways, that really was how it started. So I never had any fear of singing in front of people. And of course, just, oh my goodness, give me a microphone. I'll sing for you. And very much always wanted to be part of whatever was happening, part of the choir, part of the puppet show, part of, if the bigger kids were doing a musical, I think I was part of the musical when I was 3. And, and then I was the one dancing on the stage, and that wasn't part of the show. But I was in rhythm. I stayed in the choir, but I was kind of, really bopping along and not in my mind, because I remember doing it. It wasn't, look at me. It was just, how come everyone else isn't doing this? Because this is awesome.
Yeah.
It wasn't really about, I need so much attention. It was just, isn't this great? We're singing. So, yeah.
Yes.
So, yes, performing and, of course, learning piano. Just my mom had piano books all over. Not all over. She was very organized. And she did teach piano lessons, but I think maybe she had learned from other teachers and mothers that teaching your own child may or may not work. And so I just had the lesson books in order, and I would kind of just go through them semi on my own. And if I got stuck, I would just say, Mom, can you play this? And she would. And then it turned out I wasn't learning music because I would just learn it by ear. And oh, well, I loved playing things that I heard on the piano on TV. So I would hear commercials, or there were constant commercials for like Frank Mills and the Music Box Dancer. And so then I would go to the piano and figure it out, and like, look what I did. I can figure this out. And there is another picture. My brother was born when I was 6, and I would sit him in front or kind of behind me in his little car seat and play the piano and sing. And I thought I was entertaining him. I don't know if he was into it, but
That's
whatever.
So cute. Does he talk about that as a childhood memory?
No. He did
He's a
become a
little
musician, though. He plays the saxophone still. As a grown man, he plays the saxophone, and maybe not quite into the singing as much as I was, but yeah, I don't know. I think he just probably felt like, oh, I don't want to be as performy as her. So maybe he was kind of like, yeah,
Different
not into that.
personalities in the same family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, well, there are some fun experiences that I'm sure folks listening in right now. If you're listening in the chat, I just want to say, hey, welcome. So glad. If you have any questions for Deanna as we go along, feel free to pop them in the chat, and I will we'll reserve a little bit of time to answer a couple questions. So feel free. And I really the heart behind this podcast, I started it, Deanna, because I wanted really wonderful conversations I was already having with inspiring, and a lot of these folks that I've talked from so many different circles, and some of them are musicians, others are in the hospitality industry, others are in the interior design world, and it is so fun to talk to them. And then I just was little gold nuggets come in as they'd be sharing, and it's just casual over coffee or Zoom or Skype, whatever, just talking. But I remember leaving all these conversations over the years thinking, man, I wish I recorded that, because other people could really benefit from hearing that wisdom they just shared. And then on the other side, I also love to promote and to share what people are doing. And so this is kind of how the podcast was born, because there's a lot of artists out there who tend to open up a window and say, hey, this But what if an artist can turn that window into a mirror where folks can think, huh, how am I wired? How am I gifted? What can I
Mhm.
do? So that's the hope with this, that friends, those who are listening, that you would be able to take away stuff from our conversation, whether you're a or you do, I don't know, graffiti. Gosh, there could be a whole lot of different types of art forms here. My hope is this, that you're inspired to do what it is that you're gifted to do. And Deanna, what would you say, just a younger self, maybe like when you were 20, for example, and or I don't know if there's an age that comes to mind where you're developing and you're figuring out even, um, do I want to try first? What would you have for someone, just a suggestion, if they have an inkling or an interest, but there's a couple different ones? How would they, what would you say to a younger Deanna what to try first?
Yes. To my own self, I would have said, listen to those who are wiser and really actually do it. I think when I asked for advice, I would ask and then just not, I would like, oh, that's very nice. And I would kind of make up my own mind. And when people said, you need to have something to fall back on, I just thought, the Lord will provide. And He has. But I think I could have saved myself quite a bit of grief and despair, frankly, if I had just thought, well, how about that person was nice enough to give me wise advice that I could have listened to it a little bit more carefully, and not not that not the pressure of every single thing you do has to be monetized, but I think it, sorry, Derek, if you're still listening, I just keep borrowing everything you've ever said. But to really think where, and I've heard this too, it's like in all of those career surveys or aptitude tests that you can take that say you're good at this or that or whatever. And if you can find where your skills and the world's need actually intersect, that is something to consider, to just say, well, yes, 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 that's very nice, but this brings you joy and that brings you joy and this brings you joy and that brings you joy and you feel wonderful about that and you feel wonderful about that. Great. Does the world need those things, or can you envision a way that that can serve others? I know that
Hmm.
brought up that I think younger people, it's a way of saying it, to not crush not crush the life out of you, but to say, that's wonderful, don't lose your joy, but can you make it something that others will want to, like to share your joy, to actually share your joy, to serve others with it. And there's so many different ways of talking about that. You don't want to make your whole life a focus group where you're
Right.
constantly asking, where you're constantly concocting, what does the audience want? What does the audience want?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the audience wants to see something amazing that you're good at. so so that can kind of be like, well, no, then stay disciplined with your instrument or your activity of choice. But I think that is something that a younger me would have really benefited from, is actually coming to understand that I'm not on the earth just to enjoy things. And I don't know. I don't know if anyone could have gotten it through my thick head in a way that didn't make me feel offended or feel crushed or feel like, you know, I didn't think of it as selfishness. And so I didn't want to be told that I was being selfish. And that was just like, ooh, that just hit me wrong. But to actually say, yes, enjoy things, be good at those things that you are good at, because other people want to see something you're good at, of course, but it also needs to be something that they would desire to participate in some way. So it either needs to communicate something, or it needs to give, like, endow something to someone or teach it. So yeah. all of that. That's the idea. And if I could put that in a few less words, then it could go on a t-shirt.
Well, I think it was beautifully said. Thank you for sharing that. And I think there's also, I suppose, this line of thought in particular is really helpful for those who are perhaps at their earlier stages looking back and, or well, I suppose looking forward and wondering what to do. And there can be a lot of pressure to figure out exactly what you want to do when you're out of high school. And I remember being asked even 10th grade, because I went to a college preparatory high school, and they said, so what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. I like to talk to people and I like music, but that's about it that I know right now. And I can relate to having those voices of advice and the questions of, so, well, what can we do that does what you're saying, harnessing some of those things that your gifts are, but something that is also needed. And my hope would be that some folks would also take some of that pressure off. They might think, maybe it's okay if people don't know at 18 or 17 like I was. And I still would say I don't really know. I'm figuring it out as I go along.
Well, and I think that's something too, that to tell younger people, try things, just go a direction, do anything except stand still.
Yeah.
Just
You're
do
not gonna
anything.
light the house on fire if you try something and it doesn't
Right?
work.
burn all the, have something on every burner. No, but to just do something, go in a direction. If you hit a wall, then change, then pivot, do something else. But those aren't failures. Those are that you've just successfully found something that didn't work at that moment. Oh, well, it's not the end of the world. Keep going. Move in a different direction. Go to the next open thing. And I think that's something that was, definitely in my mind, and not because of any one place of pressure or any one person, but because we just have our little timeline in our head. Well, by this age, I need to be this, and by this age, I need to be this, and by this age, I need to be this. And you desperately want to have an answer for when people say, so what do you do? And to not have an answer, or to say, I do 500 things that don't work. Or I do 27 things that don't make any money. It's really, it's one of those things that just, you feel crushed, or you say, oh, and then whatever it is you're doing, I just work at a grocery store. I just work at Starbucks. And it's like, oh, no, don't say that. Don't say just. Say, well, currently, I take care of myself by doing these following things. And I do this. I do this for my soul, and I do this for my ears, and I do, so taking that kind of pressure off of just saying, life is more than high school and the little boxes that you think you have to check off. I think that's something that, in looking at your questionnaire for this brilliant format, is that thing that you would tell your younger self. And what I had in mind was, it turns out nobody checks to see if you have checked off all your boxes. Like, nobody grades you on that. Oh, how did you answer that survey? Ooh, have you done that? And to just kind of say, hey, take the pressure off yourself, because no one is checking up on that. They're going to walk away with, well, is that Maya Angelou, who says nobody remembers you, but they remember how you made them feel. So it's that, but it's also just, how did you affect that person? The person and the interaction is what has eternal consequence, whether it has eternal value or eternal damage. Hopefully not, but it's those things that last, and that's where your impact is going to be with other people. So just do, develop your mind, and I did hear as a teenager that it was very, very important to be well-rounded. And so I heard about, the concept of the Renaissance man or woman who would just learn every language and every subject, and they learned every instrument, and they learned all the dances, and they, became wonderful at investments and horseback riding and polo, whatever. So they learned everything. They were supposed to be well developed in every single category. And I thought, fantastic, I can do that. I was wonderful at school, at doing school, I mean. But and in terms of, okay, now narrow it down and be one thing. Oh no. That just felt like, oh no, I'm going to fail forever because I was good at school. And that's it. That's the last time I was successful. Rats. So that can be hard. And yeah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Be who you are. And it's okay if you're going to try something and then decide, oh, it totally turns out I am not a soccer player. That's okay. No one is going to grade you on it 20 years from now.
Totally. Well, you want to know a secret? The one time I played soccer, I actually ran the ball the wrong way across the field. Face palmed. So I was not made for soccer. So funny. My grandparents were there, and my grandpa was like trying to help me and was saying, "Kelsey, come this way, come this way." Anyway, so that was my very short career.
But the other side of the field was wide open. No one was over there. It was easy.
Yeah. I love that encouragement, and it reminds me of something that we were saying the other day when we were walking together, and that if you look at our lives together, and he would be holding up what we think is expectations, and I picture like a big fat storybook, like it's got leather and it looks all old and weathered, and we picture him doing this. He's holding his hand against his chin and he's comparing notes. But really, I think that the actual picture is the Heavenly Father with a big grin, like you were saying, turning pages that are photo albums, and each photo is a picture of an experience that we've had with somebody that has had eternal impact, something that's gone beyond whatever's in front of us and actually make somebody. And what's so fun is during that live stream last night when we met, you referenced a little kiddo that came up to the piano there at Bellevue Square. And oh my goodness, those kinds of moments are what really bring me joy in whatever I'm doing. And it just happens to be in the moment I was sharing piano there at Bellevue Square. And this kiddo comes up. My guess is he's probably 5. I'm not the best guessing ages, but I think probably 5 or 6. And he wanted to show me his toy that he had, and it gave me a high five. And then he gave me a big hug. And in that moment, I think that the Lord just smiled at that and was thinking, she chose love in that moment instead of, performance. Because I could have, I don't know, be one of those photographs for you in your career that you can say that was a God moment.
Absolutely. Something that comes to mind right away in 2020, so during the big shutdown and is the world ending and what's going on, I had the great fortune to go to the Texas Renaissance Festival. They were going to be open for all intents and purposes and allow the people that I play for, they're a leather vendor at the Texas Ren Festival. And so I had the privilege of standing outside their shop and playing music. Unfortunately, the weekend we were there, it was Thanksgiving weekend. It was horrible weather, just awful. So it was cold and windy, or it was pouring rain, or it was just freezing and like it was awful all 3 days. But the people who were at the festival obviously wanted to be there. They wanted to be with people. They wanted to be out and about doing something. They wanted to do something fun and remember what fun felt like. And so I was, I had just made the choice. I was just like, I am having fun, even if it's hard. And I am dressed in my Rapunzel, and I had a cape on so that I could try to stay warm. or my elf or my pirate or however I was dressed. And playing, there was one day I was playing Lindsey Sterling, and the song that happens to be my favorite of hers, which is Crystallize. And it's her most famous. Somebody used it in a cosplay video, and we were cosplayers. And so it was like, I don't even care about these costumes. Who's playing? What is this? So I was playing that song at the Texas Renaissance Festival. And this girl, I mean, I can't guess age. I would say maybe early 20s or very late teens, whatever. And I can see her running, and it's pouring rain. It's not very nice out, but she comes running and she goes, "This is my favorite song." She goes, "Do you mind if I dance?" I'm like, "Of course, please." So I played for her, and she danced in the rain, and she's twirling. She's like, she's not a trained dancer, but this is her favorite song at the Texas Renaissance Festival, and the world is ending or whatever's happening. So it just felt such a strange thing. And so that was just this moment where it was like, well, thank you, girl who danced. And I got, my husband took some video of it. And so it was very, very special. And another moment, exactly that same time, I think it was a different day, and maybe it wasn't pouring, it was freezing and windy or something. But a quite elderly gentleman. It must have been Pirate Day because he was dressed kind of piratey with the balloony pants and everything like that. And he was standing not very near, but he watched for quite a while. And I just kind of motioned to him, like, do you have a request, or is there something that I could play for you that you really would like to hear? And instead, we just talked and talked. He told me his life story of how his mother played the piano, and he was one of 9 children or 7 or something like that, and how just this type of music really speaks to his soul, and he's been wanting to play the piano again. And then he just really wanted to share his heart. He had a lot to say and a lot of grief to let go of, or to share with someone, to have someone hear. And so, yeah, like, he was interrupting me, but he was just sharing himself. And I had the opportunity to, I don't know why, but the pianist that came to my mind to share with him was Ludovico Einaudi, because he mentioned, he's like, I just really like this kind of ambient sound. And I said, who you need to listen to. And so I wrote it down for him. And then on my Instagram the next day, he commented, he's like, I found it. It's wonderful. So
Oh, sweet.
yeah. And so it's like that. And that was something that, the whole process of that trip and just kind of, boy, that was so uncomfortable. It was more like being punished than really enjoying a performance, and just, ooh. But to say, I think that's what the Lord took a picture of, not me playing. He doesn't have recordings of me playing. He has a picture of that girl dancing, and he has a picture of that gentleman, just having someone hear him, and just hear him, just listen to him, and give him the encouragement to, hey, Ludovico Einaudi sells his sheet music, and so if you are looking to get back into piano, go for it. And so things like that. And I that sort of settled on my heart, was like, oh, that is eternal, and then that is what is meaningful. And so those 2 people approached me because I was playing the violin, but my playing wasn't the eternal part of that. It was the people. And so it's like, well, if that is the method that I am, showing my offering, and then that is what attracts people to love, as you were saying, the little kids just run up to you. I've had that experience too. And yeah, but to show, okay, yeah, this is the performance, but it doesn't have an agenda. I'm not on a stage. You can come and talk to me, and I will listen to you. I'm a person. I can see and hear you. And that was so fulfilling and valuable. And absolutely, that's what I want a picture of is, did you get that little girl who was, and so yes, my husband is now he's like, if he sees something that he knows, oh, we got to get this, and he'll try to capture those moments. But yeah, that is definitely how sharing your heart, if that's what people see, then that is what attracts, then they're like, oh, well, I want to listen. And they might not necessarily want a CD of it because they want to enjoy the experience of it. They want to sit there. And it's like, yeah, sure, the CD might be a nice memory, but what they're there for is that shared experience. And yeah, the shared experience of or whatever, Pirate Day, and people are definitely, yes, people are definitely into the joy and the spirits of the evening, and they're shouting out requests, and I'm like, I can do that. I bet you didn't think I could. And so that shared experience of, oh, he thought she wouldn't play that, and then she totally did, and she showed him, and so things like that, and then they stumble away laughing about it, and do they remember it the next day? I don't know. Anyway, just yeah, joyful moments that don't necessarily the perfection of the performance, but it's like don't miss the connections or the offering that you are giving to another eternal soul that is sharing space with you. And I think that's something so brilliant. I think that's what's so brilliant about your live streams is that it's not only the people who are with you in that space, but you're inviting people from anywhere in the world with a connection to the internet to be part of it. Because that was magical for me. I'm walking my dogs and you're playing, and then, and I just was like, I don't want to hear I see the light. And so I'm like, I hope I don't get lost, because I am not watching where I'm going. I'm just listening and just going, oh, this is my song. I love it. So that's everything. It's
So sweet.
it's beautiful. And
you, when I saw that you had made whenever somebody does that, I try to picture only that person, and I try to imagine inside the bell of the piano. So I was picturing you were standing there. I had no idea what you looked like, and your YouTube channel name that you were commenting from was not any. So I didn't know anything, but I just felt such love and joy, and I was picturing that scene in Tangled where they're both singing, and it just was so sweet and precious. It was
yeah.
and
Yes.
we've also talked together about how music can be to be able to connect people together, and that the piano and the violin or the cello or whatever, all the different instruments, when people perform in public like this, it's the reason to be able to meet people, and it provides a way for someone to be able to say, hey, goodness, I had my mom loved this song, or my grandma. I've had people walk up to me and say, that was my grandfather's favorite song, and we just celebrated his funeral this last week, and thank you so much. That helped us to. That happened once when I was up at the Space Needle, and I just remember thinking, I had no idea. And I'm so grateful that they got out of their shell to share in those stories that they really that matter.
Yes.
That they really touch
Yes.
the heart.
Yes. Oh, and tons of moments like that as Dickens Carolers. Dickens caroling it can be extremely rigorous, because in some ways, you're in that costume for might be 15 hours or something, because you're going gig, 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 gig. And so you're singing for an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours, and then you drive somewhere else, and then you sing for another hour, and then you drive somewhere else, and then you try to eat a granola bar and then sing again. And sometimes it's very intimate. It's like table to table at a restaurant. Other times you are, they call it wallpaper, where you're just in the background and people may or may not acknowledge that you are even there. So that can be wonderful or really hard, because you're just like, nobody cares that we're here. Merry Christmas. So, and,
Yep.
but those little moments of magic will just happen sometimes when you don't really think they will. And I'll just share one because I have thousands, but we were scheduled to sing. It's called Steinbrook Park. It is just south of Pike Place Market in downtown Seattle. And in Seattle, it gets really dark at 4:30. So our singing time was 4 to 6 at this park. And this park is not a safe place. So we are dressed in our Victorian garb. And, the gentleman with us, because we have a tenor and a bass and a soprano and an alto. And the gentlemen are, it's not like we don't feel safe, but it's not a conducive, it doesn't feel Victorian. It doesn't feel fancy. It feels like, keep your eyes open. So we're singing, and there are, the people who live in the park, and yet here we are, and just blowing pitches and singing songs. Well, there a little couple kind of approached us, and I don't have any money, but can you sing "Oh Holy Night"? And they're like, of course, you don't need to pay us anything. We'll sing whatever you like. And because we didn't know that, we kind of felt like we were invading their space, like, would you rather not have us sing when you're trying to like take a nap or whatever? And so she asked for this. Well, then she's bawling, and just the idea of where we were, and you can kind of see up. You're very much at the water and at the shore, and you look up into the buildings and buildings and buildings. So all of Seattle is just kind of laid out in front of you and above you. And, it's very dark. There's the park lights. And so we're singing "Oh Holy Night." And it was like, we just got to pray a blessing over the city in this place that is darkness and kind of human suffering. I don't know, that place. And so, wow, and does that lady remember it? I don't know, maybe, but it was certainly a check for me to say, hey, listen, you don't know what you're doing, how that may affect another human being, and a human being is an eternal soul. So don't just write it off. Don't just think, oh, it doesn't matter. An eternal soul matters. And so always, and to be able to, I think that's when, because I know we've had this conversation about excellence and discipline in practicing and wanting to bring your best, and not out of a sense of, because there's somebody with a whip going, unless you practice 40 hours a day, you're garbage. It's like, well, no, it's to be able to bring your best, what is so satisfying, because when I have practiced enough, I am prepared enough, I am bringing all that I think I am capable of bringing to this moment, and here you go. And then being able to just present that, and then which maybe nobody else does this, but like kind of praying afterward, going, did I do it, Lord? Did I do it? And having this sense of, yeah, you brought what you could bring. You brought what you were able to bring. Thank you. And so then you let that be. And you don't walk away with a sense of, oh, I left some at home, or, oh, I wasn't prepared, or, oh, I didn't bring my best. I should have. Rats. And just feeling like you could have done more or could have been more prepared. And so that's why that's another, voice teacher quote from my past, is like, well, that kind of idea of success is when preparation and opportunity intersect. So I know I'm all intersections today, but those things, it's like, that's why you prepare. You prepare so that when that opportunity is there, you're like, oh, I'm ready. I'm ready. I did the thing. I did the scales. I did the studies. My fingers are ready. My voice is primed and warmed up and full and I can use all my notes. I can bring all the things from my toolbox and here they are. And so it isn't the look what I can do. It's just, oh, I'm so grateful that I could bring my best. Yay!
Yes.
And that is absolutely, it is satisfying and it is yeah, then it's not about dollars. God's economy does not measure in dollars. And I know we need to live. My groceries cost just as much as other people's groceries, and I don't like being taken advantage of either. I don't like being that person. That happened to me a lot in university of, oh, you play the violin? Will you play at my wedding for free? Because if it is your living, then well, my time and my expertise aren't free. They have value.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
but as just in terms of, how do we measure success or have I achieved anything? In God's eyes, it's not going to be, well, how many dollars have you earned doing this craft that you think you can do? It is a little bit, it's different. It's different for him. All he says is store up treasures in heaven. And I think that's what it is. It's that photo album of the little boy bringing his toy to your piano and going, what are those? Those are strings.
That was so sweet. That innocence of not knowing what's inside the piano. And the Pixar film Inside Out. Have you seen
Yes.
that one? Yeah.
Oh,
And where
yes.
those core moments or core memories. I feel like when he ran from me to the inside of the bell of the piano, and then he was looking toward me into the action of the hammers and the strings. I think a little
Yes.
core moment when, whoop, and one of those little marbles, the sparkly ones, got
Yes.
in there. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. I
Oh, so
love that.
sweet. Well, thank you so much for sharing that heartfelt perspective from the outside. And I talk about this a lot. Artists say that from the outside, it can look, but they don't really know our expectations on the inside or expectations that have been placed on us from somewhere else. And what do you do? Well, who's asking?
Right.
And what all those questions or the qualifiers can be a thing when you're working for the Lord as well. I share art. I get to share, connect with others, and of course, there's practical ways you can answer that.
Yeah.
This is a really special look in from the outside because you've been paid for types of art, and I think it'd be fun to have you back sometime so you could share more of your experience. I want to ask you as well, but
Sure.
but regardless of what it is, being able to pull back the curtain, and this is another reason I'm so excited to be doing this podcast, my friend, because we get to pull that curtain back and say, so this is really what this is what for some artists, I don't know if you've experienced this too, where you see those cool time drawings or what have you. I don't really draw at all, and so I love watching the time lapses where you can see all the little things and all of the things being filled out. But for the musical process, you don't really have that. You have wrong notes as the evidence of the sawdust or the eraser marks that whatever. And so finding new ways to be able to share the process and the behind the scenes is really yeah. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing those things. It really means a lot.
Well, and thank you for this platform. I think there is really, it's hard to put into words sometimes to say, well, there is there is something to share here, and to not make it sound like school or like, I don't know, just some kind of self-aggrandizing. Oh, this is your life, and the music. There used to be a TV show. I never even saw it. I know it was before my time too, but just kind of one big long, let's clap for each other kind of thing. It's like, well, there are nuggets that we can share with each other that, oh, I've lived that, or I used to feel so much grief about such and such until I learned this lesson. And so the lessons that we can learn, that, yeah, maybe it doesn't, maybe another artist or another creative would use different language, especially if they are a painter or a producer or a potter, than what we would say. But it's definitely relatable. I watched the one with the encaustic painter Willow.
Yay.
And it's like, yes, I know zero about any of those things. I went to one of those, like, oh, sip and what is it? Like, drink wine and paint. And I was bored out of my mind. I didn't have any, like, I didn't enjoy it at all. So, however, listening to her talk about, well, this, and especially, like, that's kind of your tagline for her. It's like, well, this painting was missing, and I didn't know that until I saw it. And we all have had that experience with, especially as a composer. I know that, you're just thinking, well, I've got this much of the arc, but I need a button, or I need it to do this. And then when that comes, it's like, there it is. And so, yes, some of those things can be very, very hard and athletic. It's like, why is this so hard? And other times it just kind of drops into place, and like, oh, well, I'm going to take credit for that, even though it feels like I didn't even do it. I just sort of was here, and thank goodness the notes came. So yeah, there's so many things where, as a creator, sometimes it's a slog, and other times it just happens, but it's the discipline of it that is going to make it seem like it just happened. And again, sorry, Derek. Yes.
You make it look easy.
Make it look easy. And yeah, with Derek saying, well, this was an overnight success, only 20 years in the making. And that is everybody's story. I know it doesn't sound encouraging to a teenager to say something like that overnight success takes 20 years. But it's not like those 20 years will be horrible suffering every day. It's not. It's just the cumulative work that you are doing is not a waste. And I think that's something that I definitely would tell somebody just starting, or just starting a new thing, especially if it's a career change. Like, well, I've been a nurse for this many years, and now, because of events of the last little while, now I'm trying this new thing. And to just say, it's not a waste. Nothing about who you are and have been and have done is going to be wasted. That's something too. It's like, I brought, the whole thing in my bio about all these acting things. I never thought of myself as an actor, not ever. I was a musician. I knew I wanted to be a musician. I didn't really think that was a job, but I absolutely never thought of myself as an actor. And the first time that somebody called me an actor, I was horrified. I was really just like, no, I'm a musician. Like, I was snobby about it. I was super snobby about it. I thought that being an actor was like an insult. So, but only to say that all the acting experiences it wasn't a waste of time that took me away from violin practice. It helped me develop the kind of personality and the kind of outgoing skills that I needed to be the kind of violinist that can stand there and go, "Ah, I'm a princess, come talk to me." And so that's exactly what that did, was just open up that. So it wasn't a waste. And all the auditions where, whatever, you show up and just like, how old did you think this part was for, or whatever, and they, these little kind of, they're throwing you shade about this or that, and it's like, Yeah, I see what you just did. And to just take it with grace and say, okay, I'm not right for this. I'm just going to save you some time. Have a great day. I hope you find what you're looking for. And just like, oh, well, it's not the end of the world. They didn't mean to insult me. It's just that they didn't, they need someone other than me. That's okay. If they don't want me, then I don't want to be there. So, but that experience prepares you for everything in life because not everyone you meet wants to be your best friend, and not every experience that you have is going to leave you feeling like, oh, I have just fulfilled everything I've ever wanted to fulfill. Like, no, we get rejected. And not necessarily because of anything. Sometimes it's about that person, and so being, an actor, which never felt like the right title for me, but it wasn't a waste. And so that's another thing that I would very much tell. I mean, maybe other creatives already know this and I'm just dumb, but
We need to
nothing is a
hear
waste.
it.
If you, yes, whatever it is that you are doing or learning, it is it is going to help you. And or there will it might take years and years and years and years and years. However, then one day you're going to go, I wouldn't have known how to do this if it wasn't for that one thing that I tried, and I totally failed at it, but I did learn this. And so, yeah, nothing, I don't know, try not to stomp around on your own feet out of anger when something doesn't go the way you thought. It's like,
Well said.
yeah.
Yes, well said. Well, and for fun, because I know that we're here. And so, friends who are here, I thank you so much for hanging out with us. This whole conversation is being recorded as well. Thank you for bearing with the lower fidelity. Excuse me. But this will be eventually edited into a podcast that you can re-listen to later. You can share it, and it will be edited to actually just this. But since we're here and Deanna's here with us and you're here in the chat, please feel free to ask if you have any. And for fun, I just want to say hi to some folks who are here. And I don't know if they sometimes people pop in and pop
Yeah.
anyone to stay the whole time because my goodness, people have lives. But hi Zach, thank you for saying hey in on Facebook, Zach. And Steve, thanks again for helping us with the volume, and I'm assuming that it's better now actually because I haven't heard otherwise. And oh my goodness, and my sister-in-law Becca are in the chat. Eden is my sweet niece, who, oh yeah, I love you. I don't know if you're still listening or not, but hello, hi guys. And let's see. Man, Twitch usernames are in purple, which is not good against the blue. Electrolance. Sorry. Okay, I can see that. Hi, Electrolance. And he's that I was reading out at first. Yes, very cool. And and they were also saying you want to be where your talent. Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm seeing a Ron Cron in the chat saying that's our baby girl.
Those are my parents. Hi, Mom and Dad.
Oh, hello. Wow, you raised a gem right here. And my parents are also here in the chat, Sandy and Bill.
Cool.
Yeah. My mom said, hello, Kelsey. Your dad and I are here. Loving hearing about your new friend, Deanna. She's such a pleasure to listen to. Nice.
Yay.
That's so sweet. Well, I sent them the link to your reading The Legend of the Easter Egg.
Yes.
Because growing up, we read The Legend of the Easter Egg. And there were so many sweet times where books felt like family, and all those memories. So very sweet to hear you reading those.
Oh, yes. Especially as a kid, you ask for something over and over and over and over because you just like to hear it over and over. And there are definitely books of that in my past as well. Right, Dad? So,
and actually, I remember you said, I think it was texting, ask your dad to read which book?
Fox and Socks by Dr. Seuss because it's a terrible tongue twister, and I would just giggle because he would, just it's such nonsense. It doesn't. I mean, it's silliness. It's just silliness, and I think he would, I think he enjoyed it, but also was like, ugh, this this nonsense, and just
Especially
because.
towards the time when you're ready to sleep and you're like, no,
Oh,
I can't
well,
pronounce
hello.
real
I
words.
mean, yes, exactly. I'm sitting there with all the energy in the world and like, yeah, I don't want to go to bed. Read it again. And
Right?
he's had the longest, hardest day and like, you want me to what? Say tongue twisters? So,
Yep.
yeah, there was another
Yeah.
book. Anyway, there was another book that it was a Christian family, and I think they were called the Muffin Family. And my dad just thought that was a silly name for a little boy, but Maxie Muffin, because it was Minnie and Maxie. And so he gave Maxie Muffin quite the sort of Casper Milquetoast kind of voice, and I would just laugh and laugh and laugh and like ask for it again and again because he would make Maxie Muffin sound like not the most popular kid in school. Let's put it that way. Not.
That's funny.
Anyway.
Well, we had if my parents are still there, I'm not sure, but used to have called Buzzle Billy, and my dad had a very specific voice for Billy because Billy was a whiner in the story.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was. But we digress. Hi, Jenny Holland. She's also in the chat here. Great to see you. Interesting conversation. And Saeed Lawaf says, lovely, and wants to know where you are from.
Oh, I am originally from Winnipeg, Canada. That is where I was born and raised, and have lived other places, Ontario and Dallas, Texas, and have been in Washington for 13 years.
Thank you. And Derek also wants to know, what do you enjoy doing the most? That's a great question.
That answer changes in phases. I have had to give myself the permission to have more than one favorite thing. Right now, my favorite thing is practicing violin, and that has not always been the answer. But for now, it's like my fingers just ache if I can't practice every day. I was just in a show for children's theater. I was in Winnie the Pooh, and we had so many performances where I had to drive somewhere and then dress in my costume and do the show and whatever, and all the chores and the dog care and everything like that. And I could not wait. If I had half an hour in the evening, I could not wait to get my violin out of its case and play. And it was just like a need. So that answer changes. I know that has not always been the case with me. I have gone years without touching the thing. So I don't, that's what it is right this minute. And I hope that stays the same, but I feel like in a year that might change. So I don't know. It right now, I cannot wait to play the violin. But yeah. Thanks for the question.
Yes, thank you very much for that question, Derek. And because I shared this reel earlier today with some excerpts of things you've done, I tried showing a little variety of things where you were in a movie. It was a film called The Rogue Saints. I showed some of the Elf video. It was at the Emerald City Comic-Con. And then I also shared, I think it was The Legend of the Candy King. Yes, because you had the adorable hat.
Yes.
the outfit. When you see those, are there any specific moments that come to mind on set, for example, with Rogue Saints, or when you're walking around with the violin? I was just curious.
Yeah, filming Rogue Saints it took, like, the process of filming itself almost happened throughout a whole year and a half, because everything was done like by volunteers and at volunteer locations and crew, everything like that. It was a very, very long process. And so I made so many friendships from that. There are people that were involved in the filming of it that I'm still friends with, just because it was this long ongoing thing. Yeah, so there's that. And then, that I think that video, Emerald City Comic Con, that was the very first time I had thought, hey, I want to bring a violin and walk around, because my husband and I had gone to several conventions just with costumes on, where you dress in a costume and then you walk around and you take pictures of other people, and people want their picture taken with you, and like, what are you supposed to be? And because I was dressed as an elf, it was like nothing. I don't know. So people would guess, and I would just say yes. Are you Legolas? Yes. Are you random World of Warcraft character? Yes. I don't know.
So excited.
Whatever. So, but picking up my violin and walking around, I thought they might not let me do this. Like the convention might say, listen, lady, you're supposed to carry a fake weapon, like a big sword or something like that, not a violin. And nobody told me I couldn't, so I just did. And I had a speaker in my hood that was hidden, and so it was amazing. And that was the first time that I felt like, oh, I love this. My repertoire wasn't very big because I didn't devote that much time to practicing, but being able to play just like right in the midst of people. And some people pay attention, some people didn't, and that was it for me. I thought, oh, this is way better than like standing on the corner or in a subway or something like that, because I didn't feel unsafe. Obviously, I was with my husband too, but just that idea of, just the idea of people, people right there, and if they didn't want to listen, they could go somewhere else. I wasn't imprisoning them, or we were on the move, so it wasn't like I would invade their space and then just, oh, now you're going to listen to me. It was just it seemed very impromptu. And I think people's reaction to it was that way too, was just like, oh, she's really playing. It's not a prop and whatever. So things like that, where it just wasn't what they were expecting. And so people love the unexpected, especially at a convention.
Yes. Well, and you got to give us a window in for those of us who have never been to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So you married into this, right? Where your husband did.
Kind of. Yeah, he wasn't like this when we got married. I mean, the idea of cosplay was more like 10 or 12 or 13 years into our marriage when he decided, I think I want to do that. And
Okay.
and he started going to conventions. It was a friend of his from work who's that friend went to San Diego Comic-Con every year since its inception. Well, that's probably not possible because the first ones were in the 70s or something. But he was an avid, he was a hardcore con attendee and a collector and all these things. So he told Dan about it, and then Dan was just like, I think I want to do that. I think I want to, get out my old whatever costume and see. And so it definitely was something that he grew into and came to really, really enjoy. And because I saw, oh, he is really happy with this. Like, why wouldn't I want to be with him when he's at his happiest? instead of kind of, crossing my arms and looking at it like, well, that's weird,
Right.
Or being worried about like, is this some kind of freaky freak thing? I don't want to be part of it. And but it's the friends that we've made lifelong friends from this kind of thing. And it is a different type of art. It is visual art that you are the art. Like you make your costume, you make your props, and then you pretend to be that character. You bring it to life because it only existed in a drawing or in a comic book or, of course, in a movie or in a TV show. But dressing as that character, and then if you've done a really good job and the people at the convention go, and they scream that character's name and it's you, and you're just like, oh, I did that character well, I guess. And so so it's thrilling for everyone. And then of course now they become such a thing with the vendors, so you'll have the artists who made that character right there, and you can talk to them and you can dress in your costume. Like we've done that. We stood in our costumes to meet the artist who created that character, and the creator, is sitting at his table and looks up and sees us and like, and so you see his reaction of the thing that he made come to life. And so it's this like full circle and full circle again and full circle again of life imitates art, imitates life, imitates art, imitates art, imitates art. And so it does feel like an extravaganza of creativity. And
So
you
fun.
cannot help but be inspired by all the things. Like, yeah, it's not necessarily, music isn't really a focus, but it is very, very inspiring for whatever kind of creativity you are part of. And of course, if you're a vendor of anything, you can find an audience. If the kind of people who they knit World of Warcraft characters. It's like, well, now I have a knitted plush toy of the thing that I play on my video game. Like, there
Yeah.
you are,
You
and
could
you
probably
will
go
you
there
will
and get
find
ideas
that.
for merch of what to create because you see different creative ideas. Oh, people
Yes,
buy that. Okay.
and they collect it. So it's like, well,
Wow.
if you've made one of that, then you can make the rest of the cast of characters, or you can choose another franchise, and maybe somebody wants all hair ties that are all the characters of this or that or the other thing. And I mean, yes, try not to get sued. Disney's a little dicey,
Oh,
but
yes. Yes. Be careful with
but
Disney.
anyway, just if you wanted, yeah, like hair barrettes that are all the characters of, oh, let me choose something else, like The Walking Dead or something like that. Which, sorry, I know this is a zombie show, but that type of thing will be at Comic-Con.
Sure.
And so, yes. And so then, and also people's creativity with mashing up characters. So they'll do Star Troop. I'm gonna get it wrong. Oh, I'm so sorry. So the Star Wars Stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Phew. Stormtroopers, but they'll do like stormtroopers on vacation. So they're stormtroopers with armor and everything like that, but they've got Hawaiian shirts and funny hats and flip-flops. And so
Yeah.
it's just
There you go.
it's just silly, but you know exactly what they're doing, and it's this little joke. Anyways, that's
Fun.
yeah, that's cons, and that's what very much made me understand, oh, this is why it's fun. And then of course, being able to bring more of what I can do to that was like, okay, I'm fully here, instead of kind of walking around going, "Oh, my feet hurt and I'm exhausted and no, I don't want to have my picture taken anymore," and whatever, of just going like, no, this is awesome and you can't drag me home. So
Yes. Yes. Well, and then the always think about is what fun content to be able to shoot in that space where you're constantly able to meet
yeah.
people who have stories about, and there's so many stories to be able to glean and
Hmm.
explore with, and that's so fun. Um,
Yes.
there, I think it'd be really fun to maybe let me double check and make sure I'm not missing other questions in the chat here. I should send you the chat link. Why didn't I? If I do that, are you able to see?
Let me
Let
see.
me do that as we're on. Here, sorry guys. Okay, I'm gonna
Oh
send
yeah.
it to you in there.
Is it in the Riverside chat?
Okay, so
There
I
you
just
go.
sent. If you click on that, it'll take you to where you can see what people are saying.
Okay.
Oh, and Saeed was
Oh,
asking
it wants me to.
for me to answer. What do I enjoy doing most? Wait, which? Um, what is your favorite partita? What's that?
Partita?
Oh,
Like for
partita.
violin or for
That's what
for
he's at.
piano?
I think
So
he's
is this a
asking
question to you?
It's a question. I have an answer for that. What is your favorite partita? Do you have one?
Oh, I haven't played them for a million years. I mean, Bach number 3, but I can't play it. Not now. I haven't tried to play it in many, many moons.
Many
So,
moons. There you go.
yeah. My inspiration for playing right now is coming up with not necessarily covers, but like the missing violin part for something. And so if something inspires me, then it will just be like, oh, that needs a violin part. So I've been kind of doing hard rock. Andrew WK, this is the poster of him. It is signed. It is number 7 of 500.
Yeah.
But Music is Worth Living For was his song, and rock star. And he has, in the past year, that is a dismay to me, he has branched off into some music that I will probably no longer be listening to. It's a little too hardcore. But anyways, that particular song and that particular style, especially the style that he did for the first 25 years of his career, was awesome and super fun and so full of joy. And I wrote myself some violin parts for it and things like that. And so that's
And you
where
recorded
my
with him,
violin
right?
playing. Not with him specifically, no. But because I was able to do that style, I have been able to collaborate with other artists. The folk music, that was way back in Ontario. It was a folk group that they were singing and guitar, and they just said, "Hey, you should do some violin stuff." And so I just kind of did more bluegrassy background stuff for that, and it was just easy riffs that they were like, "You know what I hear there is this," and so that wasn't really my own creativity. It was more like, can you do this? And I was like, yes. And so I just recorded it in that moment. But anyway, that's, yeah, as far as partitas, but I don't know. Thanks for the question, though.
Yeah, thanks for that question. And Kira said, "Love that part." Hi, Kira. She's our former neighbor. She and her hubby used to live right next door, and we miss them. And Kira, I just have to behind needs some serious pruning. I miss you. And I can't come and ask for lilacs off the tree anymore. That's also very sad, but I digress. The dark guard, Deanna, it's Roger, the video guy from the Washington Ren Fair.
Yes, hello, Roger. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Doubted or something like that. But yes, hello. You are a wonderful to take video of me so that I could have that memory and just that way to share. Like, hey, I do this.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for knowing Kelsey and tuning in.
So nice to meet you, Roger. That's awesome. Bill Keogh said, love hearing the wisdom and the stories. Growing in the grace and gifts for the Lord is powerful. Walking through the doors the Lord opens. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I think this might be a good place to hit pause for now. And I would love to have you back on a later time, and we can talk about some other fun stuff or mind. But before we close, my friend, is there anything else that's on your heart that you'd like to share tonight?
Well, as we've talked about the like knocking on doors or things like that, I wanted to share something that had come to mind that I thought, I don't think I've shared this with you yet, is when, and sorry, I mix so many metaphors all the time, but this idea of, knock on every door and it's okay if the doors don't open, God will open a window or whatever. And I think for a very long time in my life, I had that operational idea of, oh, this is how it's supposed to work. You just knock on every door and like with your head if necessary, and you really bruise yourself up. And I would just basically had a headache for years because I was just banging on doors, and it was so awful and so discouraging to just like, isn't this a door? Isn't it supposed to open? Isn't any door supposed to ever open? Like, what am I doing wrong? Because I felt like I was definitely putting in a lot of energy and I was certainly trying. Nobody could have accused me of not trying. I was trying everything, and just like, I thought this was supposed to lead to this, and I thought this was supposed to lead to this, and it went nowhere. And why does no door ever open? And so just this despair. And many years ago, Dan and I were invited to climb Mount Si. Mount Si is a mountain that goes 4 miles straight up and straight down. But So that trail is a slog, and it's wide. It is extremely well traveled. So it's not like it's climbing on dirt or anything. No, 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 no. It is a very wide trail. It just happens to be vertical. So you are looking at this gravel in front of you and just going, I guess I just keep walking. Okay. And so as I'm doing this trail, and you kind of just have your own thoughts and your own breath, and something that idea of this long hallway of closed doors. And I had recently been telling someone in my life, I feel like I was given a hallway that doesn't even have doors. Like I have been banging on the sides of a hallway. There are no doors for me. I was given a hallway with nothing. And here I've been thinking, there's got to be a door here somewhere, and there just isn't. And it's like, haha, joke's on me. There's no doors, loser. And so as I'm walking on this trail on Mount Si, it's not a hallway of doors. It's a trail. Keep walking. It looks like a wall because it's vertical, but keep walking. See where it goes. And so that just kind of shifted that idea a little bit of not even like, I know I've said all of these things for an hour now, of just like, nothing is wasted. It's okay. Nobody's checking to see if you solved all the boxes or achieved all your achievements or hit all your aptitude scores. But that even when it feels like this should be going somewhere, to just, it is. If you are like, just walk. It's hard. It feels vertical. It feels maybe kind of super unpleasant. The view along the trail of Mount Si is not beautiful. You don't get to see a whole lot until you are at the top. So the slog all the way up, there's another tree. There's another rock. It's really dull, and until you get to the top, and then it's awesome. But yeah, the trail, it's so, and I mean, bringing 17 other sermon illustrations that I could add in there, but that is what shifted it a little bit for me, was to finally see, oh, maybe I shouldn't be looking so hard for doors to open, or whatever my imaginary idea of what an open door might feel like or might look like, or yeah, just whatever I think of expectations. Like, shouldn't my opportunities just be exploding into a cornucopia? Like, no, just keep going, and he has, just keep swimming. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Dory. Yeah, but I will add it just because it's in my mind now. There is a sermon illustration of a man who is told by the Lord every morning to push the rock. This man lives in a house. Next to his house is a rock the size of his house. And he asks the Lord every morning, what should I do? And the Lord says, push the rock. So he does. He stands next to it and uses all of his energy to push the rock. And this goes on and on every day and every day and every day for weeks, for months. He keeps asking the Lord, what should I do today? And the Lord says, push the rock. And eventually, like, years go by, and he is in despair. Lord, this rock is not moving an inch. It's the size of my house. And the Lord finally says, the point of this was not to move the rock, but look at you. You are strong. You have developed your body into something muscular. Your spine is as strong as a horse. Now I will give you something else to do. And so, yeah, is it a hallway of doors? No, it's a trail. It's not about moving the rock. It's about who you are becoming, because your task was so hard. So there's a lot of different things that we can't look at the potter. We've talked so much about pottery and potters, and hello, Mr. Keogh. I would love to meet you someday. That we don't get to see what he's doing. We don't see his perspective all the time. We getting twisted around and moved into shapes and hammered and tenderized, and it's so awful sometimes, but we don't see what he's doing. And so to just trust and to just, okay, if I've asked you every day what you want of me, and if I'm trying to interpret your answer and I'm trying to do that, I'm trying to obey, then that's all I can do. That's all I have. That's all the information that I've got. And so, okay, I will do it, and I will leave the results to you. And that's, I mean, that is a living sacrifice. You don't always get to see where this is going, how it's going to end, or what picture you're even part of. I know that was something in our conversations too, is like all our puzzle pieces. And is this all in the same puzzle? Really? The- is this all, is it all puzzle pieces, or like some of these are like Barbie parts, and it's just like,
We got a Lego over there.
yes, this doesn't even fit together. This is like everybody's thrown away toys in one bin. Like, just take it to a garage sale and be done with it. Yeah.
But
Just kind of
instead, you
going, I don't
step
know,
back and you
maybe.
see it's a whole. It's the same. It's something that is so much bigger and holds more power and diversity than we ever thought would be
Yeah.
possible, just in
Or
our little
you're,
world.
yes, or you're waiting
Yeah.
to meet that group of people who has the rest of those pieces, and you go, oh, that's why I have that thing. And you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't think I'd ever use this or need it or want it. And now I just met this, or I just became part of this church or this group of musicians or this whatever. And, or somebody you come across is like, all I need is this. And you go, oh, I totally know that connection. And so then you introduce that person to this person, and it's like, I did that. I connected those people. And that's who they needed. And so that can be really, really, really rewarding too. You just be all the things that you are, and don't throw your pieces away, and don't call them names. Don't stomp all over your own feet.
Stomp over all over your feet. That might be your own feet. I like that.
I'm
Like
full of
that.
all these like mixed metaphors. It's terrible.
No, it's fun. Well, Deanna, thank you so much for taking the just to spend some time together, and this already, but thank you for reaching out on YouTube, and the fact that we're now having such a sweet connection. Already, we've had a Zoom chat, we've taken a walk because you live close. Yay! It's just
Yes.
such a neat, also how technology can really bring us together and can really help to connect us. And I'm just excited to see what the Lord continues to do,
Yes.
and I look forward to being able to play music with you. We're gonna probably, I don't know, try something. We know that there's
Oh,
stuff
yes.
brewing, so
Yes.
stay tuned,
Yes.
friends.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What a joy to talk this way, and to just show that I love how your heart is for people who don't think of themselves as creative. And that is, yes, yes. And to take out of it, or to take the stigma out of it, like, oh, those creative types, it's
Right?
like,
Yeah.
we're just people. We're just trying to do the thing that we're made to do. So are you,
Yes.
Mr. Programmer,
Totally.
and it's, so I love that. And I thank you. Thank you for this platform. I hope and pray, but I really think that it really is filling a niche that's not, I mean, I don't know. I haven't run across a thing where it just, let's talk about this. And so thank you.
Demystify
I'm
it.
feel very much like, oh, I'm part of this thing that's so exciting and
You
so
absolutely
new.
are. Well, thank you for being part of the Create Like You family, my dear. So good to
Yay.
have you with us. And, you know, I think, as my dad, Bill, in the chat was just saying here too, he totally relates. Happy to meet. And the things that there are to learn, and it's really good to have ears to hear. And I just encourage all of us who listen to, even if you've heard these things before, a lot of these pearls of wisdom that Deanna's been sharing, I want to encourage you to maybe to take those, to boil those tips down, and then write them down in a way that you're able to think of them differently than the same voice that you've been hearing, because then you're able to defamiliarize yourself, so you can't say, oh, I've heard this already, oh, it doesn't work for me. Well, maybe you've memorized it, but you haven't actually been able to try it out or to apply it. So having ears to hear, being able to listen to the music, to open your ears to the music, and to know that you're not finished yet, and that your journey, no matter how and pushed in the rock, don't give up hope with it, and know that you're not alone. There's a lot of people that are slogging, and it's some seasons are longer than others, but to people that are on that journey, reach out to us. Always, createlikeyou.co is a place to hang out. I chose .co for collaboration. It's a place to connect and to be together. And so I also just want to plant the seed. If you know of somebody that would be a really great fit to be able to show, I would really encourage you to reach out. You can just go to createlikeyou.co and know who they are, and provide that introduction. And I'd love to meet them and love to share their story and share their heart with our community as well. So thanks again, Deanna, for being with us. And for those who want to find you on YouTube, girl, tell us, how can we find you?
Yes, I am on Facebook under just my name, Deanna Sarkar. And I have my own page, but I also have Deanna Sarkar Singing Violinist. And on Instagram, I am Violin Elf. So those are the best places. I do have a YouTube channel, but I use the YouTube channel to put the video, and then I share it on the other places. So the YouTube channel kind of I'm not as active on that, because you can just, I don't know, can share more things on Instagram. That seems to be where people have found me best. So, yeah.
Well, wonderful. And I'll put all those links in the show notes as well,
Thanks.
where you can find her. Well, that concludes our episode, and we just thank you so much for hanging out with us. And until then, hope that you will continue to look in and figure out how you are uniquely designed, and kick fear out and try something new. And until next time, God bless. We'll see you later. Thank you.
Bye.
And you know what? I'm going to do that again, because that outro, for those of y'all, there's 7 people still hanging with us. So let me try this one more time as an outro. Okay. Oh. Well, Deanna, thank you so much for being with us today. And I encourage you, friends, to go visit her YouTube channel, go visit her Instagram. Beep, marker. I need to get one of those that says create.
Oh, that would be, there you go.
Curious, what is the longest or the highest number of retakes that you've had to do for a scene or something that you've acted in? Do you remember? Like,
I don't
take
know.
2, take 3.
Yeah. Hopefully something like 5.
Okay.
Because everyone just gets really impatient. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I tend to be. It's good that I'm just here with my camera by myself, my phone, and 15 takes or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, like on my own with narration until it's perfect. Like I don't even count. I don't care. I'm not going to put something out there if it's up to me. If nobody else is like tapping their foot waiting.
Right.
I don't care how many times it takes. And if it's like, I'm exhausted today, I'm not going to record anything better than what I've already done, then it's like, well, then today is not going to be it. We're going to try this again tomorrow. Like, I really, if it's up to me, then I don't care how many times it is. But on a set, it's like time is money, and you just kind of, they'll take a take, like they will accept a take that I may not I don't get to say. I don't get to go, oh, no, 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 let me do that again. Like, nope.
Man. Well, thanks for the impromptu question there.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll try.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Deanna, thank you so much for joining me today. And be able to chat with you, and I really appreciate also hearing that wisdom that you share. So, friends, I just want to encourage you to be brave and be encouraged that what you're pushing and something, it will be beautiful and you will be stronger for it. So, get out there, create like you, and until next.
Bye.
I never quite know how to finish these.
That was beautiful.
Well, thank
That's
you.
beautiful.
And y'all, behind the scenes, to be able to join in the chat, and thank you for taking your time to listen. And normally, just to let you know, on Thursday evenings, if we have some new folks here, Thursday evening piano, where I sit right here and I share some music. And I started wanting to have the first and third be remaining piano, but then the second and the fourth Thursdays of the month create like you live show. And so tonight, Deanna was my second guest ever to be able to do this with. Thomas
Yay.
showed me around her farm in Tennessee last August.
Yes.
And
That was
so now
awesome.
so now we're actually doing this more regularly. So in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing this again. But join me next Thursday if you'd like to hear some soft piano music. And maybe, Deanna, could I have you someday come and you can maybe share some violin?
Absolutely.
That would be really fun.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, we'll put a pin in that, and maybe next week. No, I'm kidding. Soon.
Well,
That'd be
I
lovely.
mean, let's jam a little bit and, figure out figure out our repertoire and
Speak music
yes.
together. That's right.
Yes.
All right, friends. Well, God bless. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again, Deanna.
Yes, thank you, Kelsey. We'll talk
Pleasure.
soon.
Okay, talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.